Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. This is video number 4 of a 1 to 4 part series. And these videos are about how to stamp a vertical concrete surface. So what I've done prior to these videos you can check out on the playlist. But this video in particular, what I'm doing right here is I'm just troweling the surface. I had an integral color applied into the Parge mix, so I mixed that integral color in, and what I'm doing now is just smoothing out the integral Parge mix, and prior to this I applied a color hardener. So you can see some of the darker areas on that surface. That's the color hardener, and the lighter areas is the integral Parge mix. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking a very damp sponge and touching up that edge of the step. I like to blend in the step vertical to the horizontal, so there's a seamless sort of finish. I just find it's better for kids. If kids are playing, it's not as sharp. It turns out to be sort of a roundish edge. So what I'm doing too is I'm just taking some areas and mix and matching it. So I mean, you want to create like a marbling effect. This is how you do it, is you have an integral color and a color hardener applied onto the surface. Now there is a there is a difference between a color hardener and an integral color. Integral color is some pigment that is mixed into, whether it be concrete, Parge mix, or any other cementitious application. So that color is usually a liquid, and you just apply it into the material itself. Color hardener is actually completely different. A color hardener is something you want to apply onto the surface. It doesn't get mixed in. You really want to just apply it onto the surface. I've heard some guys will actually mix the hardener with some cement and water. I've never done this, so I mean, I'm definitely going to try it. It sounds pretty interesting. But for me, I use integral color and then apply the color hardener on top of the surface. So what else I'm doing in this video here is I'm just setting up the camera. I'm just working by myself. I got the camera set up on a tripod. I'm using a Samsung Galaxy Ultra Note 20. So far it's been a great phone. It's got an 8K shooting lens. I mean, for me it's just a construction phone, so I mean it's been pretty handy. I mean, I highly recommend, if you're going to shoot your own videos, definitely get yourself a tripod, something that can hold a smartphone, yeah, and just do voice overlays as I'm doing in this video. It's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about sound, you don't have to worry about anything else to try to get good quality. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just wiping off that top ledge. You can't really see in this video, but up close there's a bit of residue from the hardener, and the hardener could potentially dye the other surface a different color, and the hardener might give off a different look that you don't want. So I'm just going through and cleaning up. It's really important that that color hardener can stain anything, your hands, pretty easily. So you just want to keep it clean. Alright guys, so in some of the other videos we're also doing the prep work, how to prep the area, how to apply, you know, mixing the colors well. All those things are in the previous video, so definitely go ahead, check that out. You know, I want your input. This is the way I learn, but I mean, I understand there's many different ways things can be taught and learned. So I mean, I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this video and the other videos. So you also want to get yourself, whether it be a tarp, a throw blanket, something that's got plastic, because the concrete and cements don't really stick to that stuff very well. So I mean, it's easy to clean off later. And one other thing you're going to want to pay attention to, I mean, it's not that big of a deal because it's concrete and cement. But I mean, is that center area. You see how there's a bit of color difference from the work that I was doing to the top of that stamp slab? That's okay. I mean, you're going to see a little bit of a difference. I mean, as long as you get it as close as possible, that's my main goal. And when I'm doing this stuff is just try to do your best. And I mean, and it's going to turn out, and it's going to change color. And once you seal it too, the whole thing is going to look completely different from right now. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using a QC antique release, and I'm just shaking it up. You want to make sure this stuff doesn't sit at the bottom and that it's basically shooken up really well. Alright guys, so what you're going to want to do is just hand broadcast the antique powder release on top of that surface. And I mean, you want to put a lot of this on there. You want to make sure it's good and solid on there, because the last thing you want is your stamps sticking to that surface. This product is basically like a baking powder for concrete. It's going to allow that stamp not to stick to the surface, and you want to just apply a lot of the powder on here, just like I'm doing in this video. One thing you're going to want to do, I didn't wear it in this video, I forgot my mask. You want to wear some sort of a N95 or some sort of a mask on your face when you're doing this stuff. The stamp that I'm using is from Proline, and this is actually a flagstone pattern. I mean, I like it, but I mean, it's not something I'm going to want to use all the time. This pattern was pretty tough to use on the surface, and I mean, it had so many different ways to go. I mean, it turned out incredible, and I love the texture, but I mean, the stamp itself, you know, it's not something I'm going to want to use all the time, especially for bigger projects. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using this flexible mat, and I'm just stamping that vertical surface. If I was to do it again, I'd probably use a skin, just a small edge mat, and then roll in the lines, you know, but I always like to use the pattern because that's most accurate to the actual stamped vertical, or I'm sorry, the horizontal surface. feeling out where I want to put the stamp. There's so many different ways that it can go, and just getting it the way that I want it here. So a couple of tips that you really want to pay attention to. As you can see, I'm actually putting this stamp straight on to that vertical surface. And when you put it straight on and pull it straight off, you're not going to scratch it. I mean, you got to remember what I'm doing here is trying to texture the surface. So you got to go straight on and just touch those edges just like that. Make sure you cover the area really well, hit it a bunch of times, and then pull it straight off. And you can see that nice line it's left. Texture is really good. And basically, you know, that's the trick with this kind of stuff, is just to go straight on and straight off. Especially on a vertical, it's very tricky. Just practice on a blank wall. You know, try a few times to get it right. But I mean, this definitely takes some practice, you know, and some strength as well. These mats are probably, this mat I think is about 40 pounds in that area. And the other thing too is just, I can't stress to make sure that you wear a mask. You know, I did forget my mask in this video, but don't do what I did. You know, this isn't something I recommend. But I mean, make sure you're wearing the proper stuff here. And what I did there is I just touched up a small spot on that ledge with my finger, and you just want to tap it out. You get a sponge, but I mean, this is fine. And basically what I'm going to do after is throw some powder on top of that surface. So that's how you actually stamp the vertical surface using a pattern. There's numerous ways that I've done it, and I mean different applications, all for different tools. Alright guys, so after this I do a bit more touch up with the edge mat, and then you know, round off the edges a little bit, throw some more powder on. But yeah, so that's it. Check out the final finish right here, and you can see that it's pretty darn close. The color and the texture there. Thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it if you like the video. You know, share it with your friends. You know, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Also check us out on Instagram at The Art of Concrete, and at Your Concrete Source, and also at Architectural Concrete Design. Thanks guys, and take care.